What's happening, everybody? j0elsuf coming your way. Can you believe it has been 20 years to the day since TNA Wrestling had its first ever show? And TNA Wrestling, now they're called Impact Wrestling. They're still like kind of hanging on. They've went through in the last 20 years. They have gone through as a wrestling organization. They've went through like the worst of the worst when it comes to ownership and politics among performers and stuff. Who can forget how AJ Styles kind of what he did in 2014 with them? You know, they kind of they were trying to redo the Summer of Punk, and they kind of did that with the Summer of AJ Styles in 2014. But then he left for either All Japan or New Japan, and and then he went to WWE. So yeah, it's insane. And so what I wanted to do is just get here and do a little j0elsuf remembers of the first ever TNA wrestling show. It took place in Huntsville, I forget the actual name of the city. It was in Alabama, I think Huntsfield, whatever. Huntsfield, Huntingtonburg, I don't know what the fuck it's called. It wasn't in the Asylum yet. The Asylum was, I think, in Tennessee, where they had a whole bunch of matches in 2000, late 02 to early, up until I think the beginning of 2004. Then they went to the Impact Zone until I think 2010. Impact Zone being in the Epcot Center, where you could go there to their shows for free as long as you paid the admission to go to the Epcot Center. But this was June 19th, 2002 was its first ever show. And it's on its YouTube channel for free for anyone who wants to watch it. Is it a good show? Kind of. It has its high points, definitely. The championship match takes up about, I'd say, a good third to 40% of the show. Like the last 40 minutes of the entire show is a Royal Rumble type match, which then transitioned to a one-on-one match when everyone was eliminated except the last two participants, and that was they called it the Gauntlet for the Gold. And it had 20 guys in it. Each guy coming in at every 90 seconds, just like a Royal Rumble. Elimination occurs over the top rope with both feet hitting the floor like the Royal Rumble, but only the last two had was a straight up match. So yeah, so I made some notes about this. Before I get into that, I don't know. I usually like talking about what was going on in my life when this stuff happened. I didn't even know there was TNA. Wasn't even aware of TNA wrestling until I'd say halfway through 2003. They started doing commercials for it during, I believe, SmackDown, and I saw Hulk Hogan talking about it. It was right after Hulk Hogan got fired. So I'd like to say, or not, after he left. Right after, I'd say probably summer 2003, because he did his little Mr. America thing throughout some of the spring of that year, and then by SummerSlam 2003, I think he was gone. So that's when I saw the very first ever TNA commercial that I saw. And that's when they were doing weekly pay-per-views, I believe. Wednesday night pay-per-views. What I affectionately call Wednesday Night Impact. And according to the DVD that they made 5 years into the company being in existence, they called it TNA Wrestling Year 1. They didn't even do the pay-per-view thing for a while. Their first few shows were, I think they were on pay-per-view, but it was very few and far between. Either that or it was just started off with this Wednesday night. I don't remember at all. But anyways, yeah. So what was going on in my own life? Well, I was just about to turn 20, and I was 10 days away from turning 20, Now I'm 10 days away from turning 40. How crazy is that? Let's see. Junior high school, or junior high. No, it was in junior college. Yes, in junior high school at the age of 20. Good God. There's got to be a Guinness World Record for like the oldest person in junior high. And it's got to be like 17, 18, or 19. Can you imagine? I think, yeah, that's crazy. I know there was like one kid in my high school who was like 20 or 19 or something like that. 18, 19, 20. It was like, oh my God, I got someone who isn't a teenager in my high school. And he was in my sophomore year English class. Anyways, so I was in junior college. Just got through my first year, I believe. Yeah, my first year of it was winding down. And it sucks because I think it was like right around this time where I rear-ended somebody with the car that was bought for me on my 19th birthday. I rear-ended this old woman who cut me off right in front of my junior high school. Actually, that was really stupid. Like a block away from it, and yeah, the car was totaled. It nearly exploded. Like it nearly blew up because I ran into them going about 30, 35 miles an hour. I got like some burns on my forearm. That's about it. Went into work that day anyways, and I was kind of really upset about it. I was upset about it for a while. And we got a thing for my car. It was called, I believe, gap insurance, which was like, oh, you'll get paid if your car happens to get into a wreck and it gets totaled. We got like, my dad and I got like $1,500 for it. And I don't know how much it costed. I don't know how much that cost. It was lumped in with my monthly payments. I was paying about $269 a month, and I bought it in 2001, right after I turned 19. And I was scheduled to make payments on it until I think June 29th, 2004 was going to be my final payment on it. So I was like 1 year in, and I think it was a 3-year deal. 3-year finance, and I think that gap insurance stuff was in with it. So yeah, so that was like kind of a big tragedy. I felt pretty bad about it. It sucked because I really liked driving to junior college. It felt pretty cool. It felt nice just to drive around town. Like I would do that before and after work. If I was bored, I'd go and I would just head over. I was living in South Florida at the time, so I'd head over to like downtown Fort Lauderdale. My dad would like let me keep a little bit of my paycheck. The other portion of it, like half of it, was used towards home expenses and stuff, and another half he let me keep. And so I'd take half of that and go out to downtown Fort Lauderdale, over to the, Sunrise, Riverfront, Sunrise, that's right. I'd go over there, there's a whole bunch of, it's a block, it's literally called Beach Place, but I just call it, it's Sunrise. It's on A1A, stay with A1A, and they got all of those restaurants and stuff they have there, so I would take about $30 and just have a steak, you know what I mean, and just watch all kinds of cool stuff going on out there, and have like dates with myself. And I would do that like every month because I would just drive my happy ass over there. I didn't need to worry about anyone taking me or anything like that. So that got all taken away from me after my little wreck, and I wouldn't own a car for 3 years after that. I would go 3 years without a car because I didn't really need one to drive to school. My dad was able to do that, or my buddies were. And then when I went to university, I definitely didn't need it because I could just take the bus and walk everywhere. In fact, I could do that now in the college town I live at now. And I could definitely do that now because I got Uber and Lyft and shit like that. So, so that's what was going on in my own life. And I was taking time off. I had the second half of the summer semester off of school, which was pretty cool. and I was just hanging out with my buddies. We were still doing our thing where we well, I should have put Vengeance 2002 on here too. I should have put that under there. Oh well, whatever. It's the first TNA wrestling show. I'd say it's like more significant than Vengeance 2002. But yeah, so like, and me and my buddies would still watch pay-per-views, WWE pay-per-views. And the last one we really watched was Vengeance 2002. Vengeance 2002 actually was a really good pay-per-view. I liked it a lot. It was really awesome. But I'm not here to talk about that. So yeah, that was what was going on in my life back then. Yeah, I miss junior college. I don't, but I do. I mean nowadays I just pick my own schedules. I can just do whatever the hell I want. I'm gonna be streaming after this actually, so you can get up on my Twitch channel and go ahead and watch some of that if you want. So yeah, so that's what's up. Anyways, let's talk about this event here. Let's talk about the very first TNA wrestling show. So, the announced team, it's really weird. It's Don West, Ed Ferrara, and Mike Tenay. Don West is like the very first person to ever even be announced in the on the show. It's pretty funny. He was the first one that walk out at all. That's a little fun fact there. So they announced Jeremy Borash is like the announcer for everything, which is really weird. It's so weird to see Jeremy Borash look so young. I think it was like 25 or 26 or something here. I don't remember. I think it's like 5 or 10 years older than I am. So yeah. And he announces Don West. He announces Ed Ferrara, which is kind of weird. And Ed Ferrara is like the, I guess like the heel announcer almost. He's like the bad guy one. Supports all the bad guys and stuff. And Mike Tenay, he gets announced too. And Mike Tenay goes over the gauntlet for the gold match. Like I said, it's pretty much a Royal Rumble. And with the last two participants, getting into an actual match instead of, just throw the other guy over. Which I believe, if WWE did that with their Royal Rumbles, it'd be pretty cool. If like the Final Four have a 4-way elimination match, I would kind of book them that way because that would create a lot more drama, it would do a lot more cool storytelling than just, just throw this one guy over the top rope. That's how Royal Rumble 05 was, remember? Like, they had to redo it because both Cena and Batista fell at the same time. And then McMahon comes out and he takes off he rips up both of his quadriceps while hitting the ring. And that poor man now, he's not he's not a chairman of WWE anymore. I mean, he's still head of creative, which is kind of stupid, but whatever. If I was him, I would just retire and not give a shit about anything. Anyways. And so, yeah. So the first segment is pretty much a whole bunch of former NWA champions come out. Tenay kind of describes most of them. Mike Tenay's like, I forget. Dory Funk was there. Of course, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. He announced that he was going to be the special guest referee for the last part of the gauntlet match. There was one guy who did a little promo segment with Jeff Jarrett because Jeff Jarrett comes out in the midst of all this, and he's like, I shouldn't have to be we shouldn't have to have a gauntlet match. We should just crown me as the champion, that kind of shit. And yeah, that kind of stuff. I forget who reveals that he's the first entrant. I think it was I don't remember half of these NWA guys. Because I'm not I'm pushing 40, not 60 here, Anyways, whatever. Yeah. And so Jarrett comes out and he kind of he's upset that he has to be in this gauntlet match, and it's revealed that he's the first entrant of it, whatever. And Ken Shamrock actually was in this too, and he was the 19th entrant. And this was, I believe, a month after Scott Hall was fired from WWE for having drinking issues. And so Scott Hall comes out through the crowd just like he did in Nitro in 1996 when he was, when he started the Outsiders. And all three of them were like, yeah, the gauntlet match sucks, but you gotta deal with it. which it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't want to put it over, like, I don't know why. I mean, if you're going to have Ken Shamrock and Scott Hall as good guys, wouldn't they want to be, like, putting over the gauntlet match? Wouldn't you want to have them say, oh, yeah, the gauntlet match is right up my alley, and, it only sucks because you think it sucks, Jarrett, that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Anyways. So, here's the first ever TNA wrestling match. The first ever match recorded in NWA TNA. This was when it was still. This was before TNA wrestling became their own thing. It was when they were still like a big major part of NWA. So they call it NWA TNA for I think a year or so straight, and they would only create their own title like 5 years after, in 2007, I believe. Late 06. I don't know, something like that. But anyways, the very first ever televised NWA TNA wrestling match had AJ Styles, Low-Ki, and Jerry Lynn versus 3 like Elvis impersonator guys. Jorge Estrada being one of them. Jimmy Wang Yang, I forget he was in TNA wrestling, and Sonny Siaki, who would be like a homegrown NWA TNA talent who they wanted to try to push but didn't really happen. I think Siaki would be there for like 5 years or 3 years. Jimmy Wang Yang, he would go to WWE in 03. I forget what happens to Jorge Estrada. Styles, AJ Styles was like the guy who TNA wanted to showcase for a while, and then they would push him like real hard going into 03, 04, 05. Same, kind of with Low-Ki as well. Low-Ki, or Caval in WWE, real name Brandon Silvestri. Don't ask me how I know that. They were going to do the same with Low-Ki, as with AJ Styles, but it's been pretty highly really documented that Low-Ki is just didn't get along with a lot of the guys. Very, very difficult to work with, as from what I've heard. And of course Jerry Lynn, but Jerry Lynn was about to retire anyways. Jerry Lynn, I think, was like 35, 36, 37 here or something like that, like late 30s, and was still injured a lot because of his work style and stuff. So they have a nice little match. Other than that, nothing really notable until it's revealed that a whole bunch of chicks are going to do like a I don't know. This was in the early 2000s. So chicks were still seen as like just eye candy, and that's it. Save for very few exceptions. Most of those exceptions being in WWE. But yeah, so a whole bunch of women come out during this one segment. It has a very young Mickie James, a very young 24-year-old Mickie James, or 23. I think she was 23 at the time, and you could tell she was really skinny. She didn't have the figure she now has or had in the mid 2000s, whatever. Francine and Elektra were there. Francine and Elektra have like a promo segment where like Elektra's like, "This isn't like ECW, so you're not going to be the top chick here. It could be any of us." And it's like 15 or so other women. One of them being Daphne, Shannon Spruill. Rest in peace, Shannon Spruill. She was out there, and she didn't look like she wanted to be there at all. Daphne was very outspoken about not being seen as just eye candy in the wrestling industry. It's been well documented that she never liked those kind of things. Never liked doing that stuff at all. And for good reason. I mean, women in wrestling should be able to do both. Yeah, you can have the whole sex sells. So you can have the whole moments where sex does sell and you do the lingerie stuff. But then right after, you should be able to have a nice competitive match. So it's announced that they're going to have a big contest to see who Miss TNA is during the next telecast. It's kind of crazy. And Francine, I think, beats up Francine and Elektra have like a little brawl segment, so they're kind of continuing the feud that Francine and Elektra had in ECW that ended when ECW ended in '01. So they're expecting fans to kind of remember that, which fair enough. I mean, yeah. Oh, Huntsville, Alabama. That's where this was at. I don't know why I just remembered that, but yeah. So, yeah, and a place as small as Huntsville, you'd probably expect that to have that kind of thing. Anyways, yeah. So, and R-Truth is also part of this show, and this was when he was still K Crush, and Mike Tenay actually says that. Mike Tenay actually he references WWE a lot. He still calls it WWF because this was like literally a month or so after World Wrestling Federation became World Wrestling Entertainment. So it was like right after it became WWE. So Tenay says oh yeah, Kid Crush was a former tag champion in WWE with Brian James and with Brian Armstrong. They don't call him BG James yet. They don't call him that, and they don't call him anything like that. Or the Road Dogg Jesse James. No, they call him Brian Armstrong. And his dad was part of the NWA guys earlier in that show. His dad, Bullet Bob Armstrong, was there too. So, yeah, and also Brian Christopher. Rest in peace, Brian Christopher. We're seeing ghosts on this show, man. Sucks, because these dudes are these people are Daphne is what, 3 years older than me, and I can't imagine Brian Lawler being any younger, or older rather, yeah, and both of them just took themselves out. I want to sound I don't want to get on anyone's hit list over here when referring to that. Gotta walk on those eggshells, But yeah, Brian Christopher has a little brawl segment with him and that kind of stuff. And R-Truth looks the same as he does now than he did 20 years ago. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't understand that at all. It's crazy and it's awesome to see. It really, really is. So, yeah. And so, okay. So now, the biggest event of this is the gauntlet match, of course. And that takes up the last 40 minutes of the show. And of course, one of the most memorable moments, one of the craziest moments in this first show was when they let Toby Keith come out and play Angry American. Yeah, not a big fan of that song or that dude, but whatever. It was still cool to see. And it's one moment they play over and over and over, where Jeff Jarrett, shoves him and heads to the ring or something like that to be part of the to be the first entrant in the gauntlet. And I thought it was just a random segment. I thought it was maybe an intermission or something like that, which I guess it probably did kind of function as one. But yeah, Jeff Jarrett shoves Toby Keith to the side as he's playing Angry American and heads to the ring. I didn't know it was right before the gauntlet match. So, gauntlet match begins, and it contains, anyone who's followed TNA wrestling for any significant amount of time knows who wins this match. Ken Shamrock beats Malice for it. Malice, I forget who Malice was. I think he was formerly in WWE. I don't remember. But yeah, so he was the second to last entrant. So it was him versus Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock beats him. Ken Shamrock is your first ever, I guess, NWA TNA champion. So it was cool to see him win that title for sure. Even if he was like past his prime a little bit. I guess not. I mean, his last match in WWE was in 1999, so I guess it's only been 3 years since. He still looked really good. He still was a really good worker in that match. But other than that, there's a few notables that I didn't even know were in the Gauntlet match, such as Buff Bagwell. I thought he retired after that match he had with Booker T on Raw, because apparently that match got booed out of the building or something. And I think in shoot interviews, he said, I was considering retiring after that or something like that. And I thought he actually did retire. So when I saw him come out, I was like, what the fuck? And we got to see a young-ish Abyss. We get to see Abyss before he became Abyss. So we got to see Christopher Park before he became Abyss. And he was known as a guy, he was known as Justice in this, so he was in there, and Joel and one to announce one of the guys, Joel Gertner comes out. He does he does his little innuendo promo, and then he announces he announces a tag team that's two gay guys, and one of them is called Bruce, and why he's managing two gay men, I don't understand. I mean, it's cool to see it, I guess, but I don't know. It just didn't really fit with what Joel Gertner is all about, but that was kind of cool to see. Gangrel was in this match. I had no idea Gangrel was in this match, which that's pretty insane. And Gangrel also appeared on AEW a few weeks ago. How insane is that? And Steve Corino was in this match from ECW. I had no idea Steve Corino was in this match. And from I think All Japan, because that's where he went after ECW. So yeah, and Scott Hall of course was in this too, and he I think was in the final three, and he gets eliminated by that Malice character I was talking about earlier. And it's Malice versus Shamrock with Ricky Steamboat as the special guest ref. Harley Race was also part of the NWA guys in the beginning of the show. So rest in peace, Harley Race. But I mean, at least he lived past friggin' 45, 50. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, and then Shamrock wins the title. And R-Truth was also in this gauntlet match as well, but that was to be expected. I think they were going to have him in there anyways. So that is the first ever TNA wrestling show. Pretty crazy how it's been 20 years since they had this first show. It's pretty insane, I'm not going to lie. And yeah, I mean, what else do you want me to say except it was pretty insane to see all that. And now it's really insane to see that we have that TNA wrestling has still been going on for 20-something years. For 20 years exactly. And, I mean, they're a shell of what they used to be. I'm not going to sit here and say they were ever, legitimate competition for WWE. Maybe in 04, 05, you could argue that it could have possibly been competition for WWE in 06 or 07. But past 2007, it was and the nail in the coffin for Impact Wrestling, NWA, TNA, whatever you want to call it, was definitely 2010 when Hulk Hogan came there for good. Hogan was there in 03 for one appearance, same with Sting. Sting I think had a part-time contract with them in 03. I don't remember that. But yeah, so that was it. Hope you all enjoyed listening to this. The next Remembers is going to be next month, and it's going to be about a couple of things, I believe. Let me check the schedule here. I didn't do one last month because I just didn't have the time. I was going to put, of course, WWF becoming WWE. But I think everyone says that. Like, I mean, it's whatever, you know. Yeah, let's see. July. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, next month, I'll definitely I'm going to do a remembers of Raw 1000. The 1000th episode of Monday Night Raw. And, which is really crazy because they're coming up on now, what? They're going to be coming up on 2000 now, right? Just about, I guess. I don't know. It's crazy. And a lot of wrestling fans, myself included, would argue that that's when WWE just started to suck and not care, was on that 1000th episode, because that's when they went from 2 to 3 hours, making it practically unwatchable, because why do you want to sit through 3 hours of Raw, you know, that kind of stuff, whatever. In August, I'm going to talk about probably SummerSlam 2002, probably a couple other things too. And yeah, so that's how it is. I'm also gonna try to do some fantasy booking. With fantasy booking, I have a whole bunch of. I have three big ideas for fantasy booking. The first being the end of Roman's reign, and that's probably gonna happen before I even do a fantasy booking video on it. Seeing as he barely ever goes to shows now, I'm going to do one with Cena and Orton's final rivalry, where one of them retires, that one being probably Cena, after that rivalry is over. And I'm also, and this one I'm not going to do probably, I might do this as early as when July begins. So the rest of 2022 for MJF. So we haven't seen MJF ever since that, and I'm definitely, in the years to come, I'm definitely doing a Remembers episode on MJF's spectacular promo on AEW on the 1st of this month. That was incredible. That I wanted to talk about that, but I had no words. I even put in the comments in one of the videos of that, saying that if I ever see MJF in person, I'm like, I'll literally thank him. I'm going to be like, thank you for what you said on the 1st of June in 2022. Like, and not even, like, ask for an autograph or anything, because, I mean, as an MJ fanboy, MJ fanboys know, you don't ask MJF for autographs. You don't need them. In his presence is good enough. But I'm definitely going to do fantasy booking on that. Which is going to be pretty exciting. I have a whole bunch of ideas. I'm going to write those ideas down. I'm going to actually try to come up with with some good stuff about it during my vacation, which is coming up soon. I'm going to be seeing my family. So while I'm there, just sitting around, you know, dicking around, not even streaming, not even doing any video content, not even doing any writing. Probably doing a little bit of writing, but just sitting there and playing with her cats and playing video games. In the midst of all that, I'm going to go ahead and do fantasy booking for the rest of this year for MJF. That's going to be pretty cool, pretty exciting. I cannot wait to do that. I can't wait to start scripting that out, and cannot wait to present it to all of you. If you want to watch me on Twitch for the all night tonight, I'm going to be streaming. I will be streaming, I'm going to be doing Earthbound. This is the second to last PB attempts for Earthbound that I'm doing this year until next year. So, fun stuff. Check that out on my Twitch channel, Twitch TV / j0elsuf. It's j0elsuf without the 0 as an O, just all lower case. So, thank you for listening, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care, everybody.